quickly go over all the base roster of the game, Sonic maintains his spin dash from the main Sonic series, and in terms of his capabilities, Sonic is kind of meant to be the fast one that comes at a cost. In this case, it's that he's super fast, but his turn control is rather poor, and his acceleration isn't the greatest either. Sonic honestly struggles to keep up with Knuckles, who has more equalized stats, so he generally does better, although if Sonic can manage to maintain his speed, he is the faster character, so he can be better. I consistently was being slowed down by the terrain, so I wasn't able to make Sonic go any faster than 23 seconds, but I'm pretty sure he can get lower than this. I just kind of did bad with 22 seconds being the fastest I could get. In general, though, Sonic is just kind of tricky to recommend because, while he does have that double jump ability, which was never a main part of his kit, Sonic is just kind of meh. He's not nearly as good as Knuckles. I just recommend playing as Knuckles. Next up for the base roster is Tails, and like Sonic, he has the spin dash. Tails has really high acceleration, really good turn control, but his top speed is considerably slower than Sonic and Knuckles. One thing you will definitely notice is that Tails will drive you insane, as he constantly has that propeller sound effect going from the spinning of his tails. Tails, however, does retain his ability to fly from the games, which allows him to take shortcuts that the others can't, but in general, he tends to be a bit slower than the other characters unless he's constantly taking these shortcuts, so Tails is better suited for exploring the levels rather than just racing, because he can easily move around freely and not have to worry about bouncing into things or really having to platform much. He can just go completely around it by flying, but he suffers a lot in speed unless you're constantly taking shortcuts. As you can see from some of these laps, I am able to keep up with and even surpass Sonic in certain areas, but Tails overall is definitely the character to pick if you just want to drive your opponent crazy, because that constant propeller sound is freaking annoying. Next up on the base roster, rougher than the rest of them and unironically the best of them, Knuckles is kind of the best of all worlds when it comes to the base roster characters. He has equal stats, making him the most well-rounded of the bunch. His top speed is great, his jump is good, his acceleration is good, his turn control is good. Like, Knuckles is just the character you pick if you want to have a good time. Unfortunately, he doesn't chuckle in this game, but honestly, when it comes to just the base characters, Knuckles is the go-to character for basically any situation. He's good for exploring because of his decent control, he's good for quick times because of his decent speed. He actually, in general, outspeeds Sonic just because of his best superior handling. Just like Sonic and Tails, though, he sinks in water really easily, so it's better to keep him out of water if you can avoid it. But overall, Knuckles is just generally the best pick of the characters. There's really no reason to pick the rest of the roster when he's really this good. Sonic can potentially go faster, but who cares when he's better at everything else? Oh my god, I'll talk about this one now, don't I? Where to begin with Amy? Well, let's start positively. She has great acceleration and great turn control, which is fantastic. She actually has the best in the game. She can't jump at all, which is kind of garbage, but her car does have a hover mode, which allows her to go over water without losing much speed at all. But that's primarily because Amy has the worst top speed in the game, like, hands down. If you just go through Resort Island taking the shortcut as I've had with every other character so far, and not use the boost function that her car has, Amy's top speed will be 32 seconds. Which is 6 seconds behind everyone else, pretty much. Ow! That's really terrible. When using the boost, Amy's speed actually goes up to a more respectable amount, making her pretty much equal with Knuckles and Sonic. But it doesn't last very long, and while Amy is boosting, she has horrible handling, so you're trading your turn control for a little bit of speed, and that really doesn't help much. Honestly, Amy is horrible in this game. Don't play as her unless you want a challenge. And the final member of the base roster, who, unlike the other characters, actually has to be unlocked by beating Radiant Emerald, Dr. Ivo Robotnik brings to the table average top speed, average turn control, and pretty decent acceleration with the ability to hover completely over water at the cost of having no jump. However, you may notice that Dr. Robotnik has that rocket launcher strapped at the bottom of his Eggomatic, and that's not just for show. When racing other characters, Dr. Robotnik can expend 20 rings to launch a missile at people and launch them up into the air to slow them down. It barely works though, so it's not exactly the greatest mechanic. Really, Dr. Robotnik's biggest problem is the fact that when competing against Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, he has difficulty keeping up. He has to use shortcuts in order to maintain, any consistency with them. However, his biggest problem is the size of the Eggomatic. It's very easy to bounce off walls and hit things by accident because of how big this thing is. Although with that rocket launcher strapped to the bottom of his Eggomatic, I'd say that Dr. Robotnik is mainly focused on winning the race so he can be happy, and he doesn't care what it takes. So on to our first unlockable character that isn't part of the base roster, and that would be Metal Sonic, who, if you've unlocked Metal Sonic, congratulations, you've basically won the game. The only character who is better than Metal Sonic is the final unlockable character, because Metal Sonic just happens to have the best top speed in the game and the best jump in the game. His acceleration is also fairly good, but the only thing that's really a problem is his turn control, which is rather average. But still, average is fine. The only downside to it is occasionally you might lose control of Metal Sonic due to his ridiculous top speed. But that doesn't matter when his top speed is so good that it more than makes up for the fact that you might lose control every once in a while. Consistently, he beats most of the base roster by 2 seconds or 4 seconds, so once you've unlocked Metal Sonic, you're probably going to be playing as him non-stop, at least until you unlock some of the other bonus characters. It's kind of disgusting. Now I get to talk about this little internet ghost story who was popularized after the release of this game. Tails Doll was ironically kind of meh in this game, so he kind of exists almost entirely because of those stories now, and it's kind of funny how such a forgettable character would be kept alive by the internet just kind of making up all this ridiculous shit about them. Tails Doll in this game has pretty decent everything. He's average at best. He can be a decent character to play as, but he's not exactly the best character in the game or the worst. He's in the middle. I would say that Tails Doll is the most well-rounded character in the game. As far as things go, Tails Doll's only real unique mechanics are the fact that his jump it's more like a pull string, so it kind of makes him look like a puppet being dangled on strings. And he's the only character in the game besides Dr. Robotnik who can go over water without losing any speed at all. Every other character has their speed reduced a bit when they're over water, or they sink into it. Tails Doll does not. So, honestly, other than that, like, he's just there. You can play as him if you want, but he's definitely not going to beat Metal Sonic most of the time. Congratulations on struggling to get the 5 coins in Regal Ruins. Your reward is the worst unlockable character in the game. Eggrobo consistently has garbage top speed. His acceleration is good, and his turn control is fantastic, but he can't jump, which is automatically a downside, and that's it. Eggrobo does have a little hand cannon, which immediately makes you think, oh, he's got to be like Dr. Robotnik, he can shoot a projectile, and yes, you're right. For 10 rings instead of Dr. Robotnik's 20, he can shoot a projectile just like Dr. Robotnik. And just like Dr. Robotnik, it doesn't work right, so you're trading the ability to have decent speed for the ability to slightly slow down your enemies, which doesn't even really impact them at all, so Eggrobo is consistently garbage. Like, he's as slow as Amy, in most cases slower than Amy. Like, if Amy's using her boost efficiently, she can often beat Eggrobo. If she's not, then he'll beat her, but like, that's not exactly a good thing to be claiming. You can beat Amy in this game. Every character can do that without even trying. Eggrobo has to actually be trying and hope that Amy isn't using her boost effectively. He's just bad. Why did they do this to this awesome character? Okay, here's a character that's much more worth it. Metal Knuckles is really in the running with Metal Sonic. It's a toss-up between these two over who's the best character in the game, because Metal Knuckles is slightly slower than Metal Sonic, but he makes up for it by having the glide ability that Knuckles has. So you can definitely see how this toss-up is made, because Metal Sonic is faster, but Metal Knuckles has way better capabilities with the glide. He can take shortcuts that Metal Sonic can't. Honestly, both of these characters are probably the ones you're going to be using throughout the game. If you haven't gotten all 7 Chaos Emeralds, Metal Knuckles is a great character for that, because he can search around the map without losing much speed and can consistently win. Whereas Metal Sonic is better for just straight-on racing, because it's hard to actually keep up with him unless you're playing as the final unlockable character. So, Metal Knuckles is one of the best characters in the game. You'll probably be using him all the time. So, if you manage to find all 7 Chaos Emeralds in the stages, you've now unlocked Supersonic, and congratulations, you've destroyed the game. Supersonic is... The best play I can compare Supersonic is, if you've ever played Diddy Kong Racing, Supersonic is basically TT from Diddy Kong Racing. He has nearly perfect stats except for one, and that stat doesn't impact him basically at all. In Supersonic's case, he has the highest top speed in the game, and has great acceleration to boot, with the only downside being that his turn control is still slightly off. But what does that matter when he's so fast that no other character can touch him? Supersonic can make mistake after mistake and still win the race without even trying. It's kind of silly. So silly, in fact, that the AI is actually programmed to not go at full speed, because otherwise he'd be impossible. Yeah.